So we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you for everyone for coming. Believe it or not, this might be the biggest space in the school district right now, so this is why we decided to have it at Hilltop Elementary. You know, this is a great night because we get to celebrate our season and kind of put a close to the 2017 football as well as the 2017 fall cheerleading season. So we're excited to be able to do this together. We're going to start off with the middle school cheerleading, and without further ado, give a round of applause.
First off, I just want to take a moment to thank all the cheerleaders, parents, and everyone who helped make the season a successful one. Without your patience and thoughtfulness, this would not happen. So to all my girls, thank you all for such an amazing season. I know that we had to practice outside, in the rain, under shelters. We made do. And thank you all for always coming and always doing your best and being ready to practice regardless of the circumstances. So thank you all for that. With that, we'll just get started. First up, Kylie Brandt. Emily Buckley. Leah Campbell. Isabella Carnavali. Annabelle Castellucci. Jordan Clements. All right, one of my awards for one of my girls is the AAA award. It's for Awesome Attitude Award. This award is going to Michaela Embry. Michaela. So I want to say something. So you can stand up here for me. This award is going to Michaela. I am beyond proud of you. Watching you learn and grow since last season has been amazing. You came in this year expecting more from yourself and more from me, so I appreciate it. Thank you for all you do. Next one, Catherine Emerson. Lacey Fancher. Tyler Garrison. Mackenzie Horsley. Hannah Iori. Katie Lane. My next award, although this was her first season with us, I have enjoyed having you. Watching you learn and grow this season. When we started the season, I seen drive and compassion in your eyes. I wanted you to be the best cheerleader you could be, and that's what you wanted. Whether at practice or on the field, you always came prepared and ready to cheer. You are a great leader and an inspiration to all of us. Your positive can-do attitude and your willingness to help others is undeniable. I admire you for that. I have enjoyed having you on the squad this season. My Miss Blue Devil award goes to Macy Ramsey. Brooklyn Begley. And Madison Begley. That's all I have.
And next up, we will have middle school awards with Coach Phelps.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just start with naming everybody, and then I'll say a few words afterwards. So, Devin Kirby. Kyle Thompson here. No. Austin Vaughn. Noah Wagner. I still Antoine Brooks. Ian Carpenter. Vincent Edichico. Reese Jenkins. Jacob Kyler. Yep. Caleb Mitten. Nathan Robbins. Cameron Young. Carter Griffith. Caden Connor. All right, our awards. Is Drew here? Oh, I'm sorry, Drew. Drew Conrad. I didn't see you. Okay, so Coach's Award goes to Jordan Fell. Most Improved, Caleb Sales. And then Blue Devil Award, Joel Stein. So just real quick, obviously we struggled with numbers. I think the cheerleaders outnumbered us probably, so it was tough. But you know, the 7th graders, I'll be honest, you guys, I was a little worried at the beginning of the year, but you guys have quite a few gamers on the team, and you guys really shined when you were out there. So I think as far as the 7th grade goes, moving forward for the middle school team, we got some good pieces coming back. And hopefully, the 6th grade team, you guys are going to meld together and, pick the pieces back up and get going again. 8th grade, numbers really hurt us. We lost too many guys to grades and eligibility. We had some discipline problems, a couple transfers that hurt us as well. It wasn't quite the win-loss record that we wanted. But this is a group that last year we won CHL pretty easily. And with a thumping, was it 56-32 Wyoming to win it last year. So there's a lot of talent on that team. The future's looking good for you guys as well. Just keep it short, that's all I'm going to say. So, guys, good luck to you, and it was great and a pleasure coaching. Thanks.
All right, next up we have high school cheerleading. Before Coach Jenkins goes, I'd like to say that in my years as a head coach and as an assistant, I've never worked with a more supportive, more caring, more easy to get along with cheerleading coach. Coach Jenkins, I think she does a phenomenal job. She does a ton of stuff behind the scenes for us. I mean, it was playoff week and she was going to make a run to the store and she said, guys, can I get you anything to the coaches? And we said, if you're going, and could you pick this up, a bottle of water or something like that? And she did without hesitation, and she brought it to us. We're like, wait a minute, she wouldn't even take any money for it. She's a very selfless person, and we are extremely lucky to have her at Reading. She does a phenomenal job. I can't say enough good things about her. So let's give Coach Jenkins a round of applause.
Our excitement wouldn't have been possible without you guys. You made an amazing run, and nobody can take that from you. So hold your heads high, you guys were amazing this year. All right, so my girls, I know our competition didn't end the way that we wanted it to end, but you guys have done some amazing things this year. So I can stop crying, I'm going to go ahead and announce the girls. Kaylee Foster. Kaylee is the winner of the Miss Blue Devil Award. Kaylee comes to practice every day, quiet. She does what she needs to do. Kaylee is also the receiver of the CHL Award. Congratulations. Megan Raleigh. I can't. You know I can't. So, Megan and I fight like daughter and mother. We always have words with each other, but you're always there. You're always happy. So you get the most spirit of Natalie Kelly. Emily Brandt. Emily is receiving the Leadership Award this year. Emily went above and beyond, and I show her a cheer, and instantly she would teach it, no questions asked. Thank you, Emily. Satia Plauser. Dorothy Furness. Gwen Hensley. Jordan Linsett. Eddie Anderson. One of the half of a brain, Trinity Bryant. And the other half that makes it a whole brain, Kendall Attire. Michaela Griffin. So I have one more girl that came onto our squad this year. Miss Ellie Miser. So Ellie is receiving the most inspirational award this year. Ellie came on, we weren't positive how she was going to do. We know that she wanted to cheer. She cheered for Swag Cats for quite a few years. But she came on and she literally changed the dynamics of our entire squad. I could not be happier to have her with us. So, thanks guys. How do we get this? Hey, Kylie where? Kylie Schmidt.
She left the rest of her brain at home. You looking good, girl?
And for my seniors, Katie Foster. And Megan Allen. And we have one more gift song. Ellie, this is from everybody. You guys did amazing. I'm really proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Sam. This is my first year coaching. I'm actually the JV coach for the cheerleading squad. I've actually been coaching in the district. This is my third year. I coach the middle school dance team. So almost all of my freshmen on my team this year. I've actually coached for 2 years. So I just wanted to say a huge thank you to you guys for bringing me back into the cheer world. Haven't been in it since high school and making my first year as a cheer coach awesome. I love every single one of you guys. Thank you to the boys for giving me my first year back in cheerleading, a killer freaking year. We had so much fun and loved watching you guys play and loved cheering you guys on. So thanks to Coach for being so great to us, and thanks to all the parents for being super supportive. The year's been crazy with no practice spacing, and see you guys next year. Thanks.
On behalf of from the cheerleaders and the parents for varsity and JV, we have a small gift for Ryan and Sam. We got you guys each a personalized chair. They say your name, and they say coach on them. They're really cute. And then your bags are also personalized.
Thank you, girls.
All right, before we get started in talking about our awards, and I make a script, and you can see on here there's a lot of awards to go through, and that's a great thing because that means we have a lot of young men we get to celebrate. We will definitely honor them, but I know it is warm in here, and there's a lot of young ones, including mine over there, and we will be concise, but we do want to honor these guys, so I appreciate you guys staying. So the first person, I have a list of thank yous here, and I always put my wife first because, without her, like our family wouldn't run during football season because pretty much I'm gone at about 6 a.m. in the morning and I'm home at about 7, and I put my son to bed, and that's about it. And without her, our family would not run. She's definitely the rock of the family, and she's in my foxhole for sure. So please give my wife Jen a round of applause. If you have not had her cooking, you're missing out, right, guys? For sure. All right, next group I want to thank is our assistant coaches. These guys do a phenomenal job coaching their positions. Absolutely a loyal group of people, hardworking, willing to learn new things. We have a few coaches that are a little bit long in the tooth, so to speak, and we do a lot of video work on the computer, and they were not comfortable with it, but they learned it, mainly because I made them. But I appreciate their willingness to learn, and I learned a ton from those guys. So let's please give our assistants a round of applause. I also want to thank our administration. I know that just about every game our administration was there, all the way from our superintendent, Mr. LaFada, to our principal, Mr. Ramsey, and our athletic director, Mr. Payne. And I appreciate those guys, very supportive of our students, our student athletes, and it always makes my job easier when administration is supportive. Next group I want to thank is parents. I mean this when I say it. You send us unbelievable young men. I had each of them over to my house throughout the year. Unbelievably thankful group, kind. Really one of the best things about the season for me was to get to see my son enjoy watching football, and it's mainly because of you guys. And I appreciate it greatly, and how they treated him. You're his idols, so I appreciate that a lot. And parents, without you guys teaching them right, they wouldn't do that. Our discipline issues were very little. They work hard. They're tough guys, and I know they're going to be successes in life. I also want to thank our support staff, Susan and Beacon. I know there were many times where Susan came in on Saturdays and Sundays to give our guys extra treatment, and that was not on the clock, I imagine, and she did it because she knew it would make us better. And she kept our guys healthy, got them healthy, and got them back on the field, and she's great to work with. I'd also like to thank Richard Morgan. He's a consummate supporter of Reading athletics and specifically football. I know he was here earlier. Richard, are you still here? I know you're trying to hide from me. Thank you very much for all support. And he does it because he loves Reading Blue Devils, and he's a fantastic supporter. Next guy I want to thank. How many of you guys have ever seen our YouTube highlights? Anybody seen those? Unbelievable, right? And all these guys, they can't wait to have them come out. If you haven't seen them, go on YouTube and watch them. We were able to get a professional quality weekly highlight for free. All right, from this man back here filming still. And he's going to put this up on YouTube for us as well. And here's why I loved it so much. I didn't have to worry about it or organize it or do anything with it. He showed up and he did it. Unbelievable high quality, okay? So we do, you know, I want to give Scott a round of applause. Also, one last group I want to thank. I know they're not here. Both teachers, Mr. and Mrs. Schmidt. If your sons came home with one of the gray Blue Devil Pride T-shirts, they donated those. They donated those, and they came up to me and they said, "Hey, would you mind if we got your guys a T-shirt?" I said, "Sure. How much does it cost? You know, how much do we need to pay?" And they said, "We have it covered." And you know, and they provided those for us out of the kindness of their hearts because they care about you guys and they care about Reading. I know they're not here, but I definitely wanted to thank them and you know, publicly let you guys know that there's a lot of teachers in this building who show a lot of support. Our season, we finished 8-4. Okay, 8-4, and this was the first time since 2004 that Reading has won a playoff game. And the last time that Reading won a playoff game was when Coach Miner over here is the head football coach. So I told him, I said, all we needed to do was win. All we needed to do to win playoff games is just bring him back, and we can win a bunch more. So, you know, in terms of that, like, I don't measure the season on necessarily winning playoff games or the amount of wins, but I measure the success of our season on were we able to achieve what we were capable of achieving. Did we do the best to become the best we're capable of becoming? And I know these young men did that. I know these young men did that. They sacrificed. They worked hard. They cared about one another like no group I've ever been around before. You know, we all know the adversity we're facing right now with the building of the new high school. Once it's built, it's going to be phenomenal. But there's definitely adversity with not really having a weight room on campus, having to go lift or crunch fitness, still maintaining high strength and conditioning numbers. All right, and how were we able to do it? It was because these guys would drive around town, all right, like the Metro bus, picking up kids, bringing them to crunch, taking them back, and not without me really asking. They organized it. And again, that's a reason why we had success, was because of the selflessness of these guys. And you know, they overcame the adversity. You know, I joked during the week we would do prison yard workouts. Literally, that's what we would do. We would take the weights out of the garage in the weight room, we would lift on the cement, we would load them back up, and then we would go practice. And you know, I think that they bought into that blue-collar, hard-nosed mentality, and I think it showed on Friday nights. I mentioned this before, but this is a close group of guys. They're a tight-knit group and they're family. And you know, we started using the term LEO, which means love each other. And by God, they love each other because they played hard for one another. And that's the ultimate goal. You shouldn't play hard for anyone other than yourself and the guy next to you. You know, like I mentioned before, we did have some success and we did win a playoff game. The season didn't end the way we wanted. You know, that last game was tough. It's still hard for me to watch it. But, you know, I do think that they left a legacy. They left a legacy and they left a foundation moving forward of how to do things, how to work, how to practice, how to watch film, all right, how to be good teammates, how to be good communicators, and all of those things. And that's something I'm very thankful for. So let's give this whole group a round of applause. All right, so now we're going to move on and we're going to talk about all conference awards, okay? And we were able to get a guy at every single position on first team all conference, as well as second team all conference. So again, that's a testament to these guys' hard work and performance on the field, all right? And first guy I want to acknowledge here is Andy Combs receiving first team all CHL award. Tanner Cromer receiving first team all CHL. If you didn't know, Tanner also broke the single season record for sacks this year with 17. Andy's a sophomore. Tanner, stay up here, guys. Aiden Asbrock, first team All-CHO. Justin Dreiling, first team All-CHO. And then last, I want to introduce the Offensive Player of the Year in our league, Mancini Jackson. All right, next I want to introduce our second team All-CHL winners. First guy is Riley Phelps, offensive line. Caleb Cox, defensive line. Gabe Van Skyke. Jermaine Fulton. Marcus Fleggy. And then we also have 5 guys that earned honorable mention all conference. And first one is Sean Beesman. Elijah Vaughn. Keontae Sanders. And Sam Sophia. And in most years, I think Sam would have been a first team guy, except for the person that won it from Wyoming. He just happened to be the Division V Kicker of the Year. So kicking, we had tough competition this year for kicking. Sam did a heck of a job for us. Let's give these guys one more round of applause. And a typo on my part, Kyle Gerard, honorable mention. I'll give you two guys. All right, I want to keep these guys up here, and we have a few more regional and state awards I want to announce. All right, all Southwest Ohio, and this is an Associated Press award, so we all know there is some bias, and I think there's some other guys up here that should have been first team as well, but that's the way it goes. You know, the press usually gets it wrong, let's face it, whether it's local, state, or national. But we had 2 guys earn first team, and that's Mancini Jackson and Andy Combs. We had 4 guys earn second team, all Southwest Ohio, and that's Aiden Asbrock, Tanner Cromer, Justin Dreiling, and Adrian Simmons. Gabe Van Skyke earning honorable mention, all Southwest Ohio. And we had 2 guys earn all Ohio awards. First guy I want to announce here is Andy Combs. He was 3rd team all Ohio, and then Mancini Jackson was honorable mention. Again, I would like to stress the fact that I think the press got it wrong. In Cincinnati, habitually get shafted when it comes to these state level awards. We've only had 1 Mr. Football in the history of the award, which is absolutely bogus. Write your local sports reporters, please, on that issue, because it's absolutely ridiculous. But both of these guys are very deserving. Andy Combs, Mancini Jackson. Next, we're going to introduce our non-seniors, all right, and we're just going to go through by award and introduce them, and then we will finish with our seniors and our team awards. So hang with us. We're downhill. Okay, we're downhill. And I'm going to call their names, coaches, and then I'll say which award they receive. And please give it to them. Stand up here until all names are called. Appreciate it. Andrew Feartag, earning his first varsity R. You look much better in blue than you do those other colors, by the way. Zach Barker, earning the first junior varsity award. Caleb Embry, first junior varsity award. Chris Fortier, earning his first junior varsity award. Michael Hensley, first junior varsity award. Cooper Scott, earning a junior varsity award. Jacob Rigsby, earning a junior varsity award. Mitch Burkhardt, earning a junior varsity award. Logan Brewster, earning a junior varsity award. If there isn't one, Zach Schuler, earning a junior varsity award. Orlando Smith, earning a junior varsity award. Andrew Carpenter, earning a junior varsity award. Josh Reed Miller, earning his second varsity award. Sean Wiesman, earning his second varsity award. Sam Connor, earning a junior varsity award. Cameron Moore, earning his second varsity award. Gabe Van Skyke, earning his second varsity award. Tanner Cromer, earning his second varsity award. Keontae Sanders, earning his second varsity award. Elijah Vaughn, earning his second varsity award. Dalton Robbins, earning his second varsity award. Evan Grigsby, earning a junior varsity award. A lot of these guys, especially the freshmen, their playing time was limited unless we were putting it to a couple teams in our league that I won't mention, but that felt good to do that. And it was my goal to get them in as fast as we could. I know as a team, we probably substituted faster than most teams. It's a goal of mine that any chance we have to get guys varsity experience, that's our goal. I know it makes it much more difficult with a running clock than it has in the past. But again, we wanted to sub as quickly as we possibly could to get guys as many reps as possible. And all these guys, They did a fantastic job. They worked hard. They were great practice players. All right, and I definitely think the future is bright with this group coming back. Give them one more round of applause. No, I have not forgotten seniors. Saving those guys for last, and we're going to talk a little bit more about those guys. And the first group of guys I want to talk about is our captains. Our first captain we have here is Mancini Jackson. He was a 4-year starter at Reading. I think he's been a varsity letter winner in both football and basketball. His sophomore, junior, senior season, he was also a member of the track team who broke the 4x100 meter record. He had 52 catches for 811 yards, 14 touchdowns, 6 of those touchdowns coming in our 2 playoff games. If anybody went and saw those games, you saw Mancini absolutely balling out, which is why he has multiple scholarship offers to play at the collegiate level. And most importantly, it's been great to see Mancini grow as a young man and become a responsible, hardworking, caring, team-first mentality type of person. And we definitely win as Mancini went this year. Let's give him a round of applause. This next guy here is another multi-sport athlete, which is something I think you're going to see a common theme of, is the amount of guys we have on our team that are multi-sport athletes, which is exactly what you should have at a school if you want to be successful. He was the long jump state champion last year. He's been a multi-year starter for us, led us in interceptions this season. About halfway through the season, we thought, man, we might break the record that we set last year with 8. And then I'm not sure he got another one the rest of the year, but he definitely had a bunch of pass breakups. He's a guy that played on both sides of the ball. Again, another one of those guys who basically it was Bus Justin all summer getting guys the weights. He's mature beyond his years. He's also a young man that's going to move on and play college athletics. I'm not sure whether it's going to be track or football or both, but I know this weekend, I'm going to brag on him a little bit, he's going to get to have an opportunity to go up and take an official visit at Eastern Michigan University because they're recruiting for track and field, which, I'm not sure the last time we had a Division I track and field athlete, but that's a testament to his hard work. And if he doesn't end up there, I know wherever he ends up, if it's at a lower division, he'll have the opportunity to play both football and basketball. Justin Dryland. Not basketball. Our next captain is a multi-year starter. Started on both sides of the offensive line, or offense and defensive line for us. He pound for pound probably the strongest guy in our league. Definitely the strongest guy on our team. Makes tons of plays on defense as well as offense. You might say, well, how does an offensive lineman make plays? Well, number one, anybody that knows anything about football knows that the center is the guy who sets all of the protection, the blocking schemes, and you're good as an offensive line if you're good in the middle. And that's what Andy gave us. Not to mention on defense, he was an absolute terror. Between him and our defensive ends, it made it very difficult for teams to run the football on us, which made him one-dimensional. And he'll be dearly missed, not only in the game field, but in the weight room, and as well as the locker room, because he's such a great teammate. Andy Combs. Our next captain has been an absolute stalwart for us in the past 2 years on the defensive side of the ball. He's a quiet, consummate worker. He makes guys in practice better. he's a guy that we would line up on the best receivers, and pretty much he would lock them down. And he's again another multi-sport athlete, and if he has interest in playing football at the next level, any team would be lucky to have a guy playing corner for him like Jermaine. Jermaine Our last captain here, again, is another multi-sport athlete, and even though he only played on one side of the ball, that was because he was also one of the most important positions on the team, which was also one of our quarterbacks. I don't necessarily want to say backup. One of the main reasons why you didn't see him more later on in the year was because he was so good on defense. And as a safety, the way he was able to play downhill and play the run made it very, very difficult for teams to run the football. He did a phenomenal job. He did a phenomenal job running the alley. He's also, again, a multi-sport athlete, baseball player. I know he has aspirations to move on to the next level and play baseball. And the other thing about Marcus that I want to bring up is how tough he is, because he played the whole season injured. And I'm not sure he missed very many practices, and he never missed a game. And again, and that's because of his toughness and his determination to play this year. And I'm definitely glad he did. Marcus Flagey, our last captain. Our next senior here played very little, but that's not to his own. That's not his own fault. That's because a couple years ago, cancer took away his ability to play, but it didn't beat him, and he whipped cancer's ass. And I was glad we were able to celebrate Jake in our game versus Summit Country Day like we were able to. Got to get out there and get a play. I would have liked to see me take a little bit better of an inside release on your stalk block there. We'll have to get that coached up for the future. But you know, Jake is a great young man, and he helped us out in many, many, many ways. I think one of the coolest things that I got to know about Jake is through this whole experience, it's basically given him, you know, an idea of what he wants to do in life, and that's be a nurse, because he didn't have very many male nurses when he was going through this. And I know that's something he's brought up, and that's what inspired him to want to go on to be a male nurse, to be able to help young men like himself in that situation and give back. And I just think that's absolutely phenomenal. Jake Swan. Our next guy, out of all the seniors, probably played the second least, but that's just because he was a kicker. And, you know, you get not nearly as many kicking reps, although I do think we could have put him in at safety, and he could have done a good job, or corner. Not sure about receiver, but I definitely think on the defensive side of the ball, Sam, he would have done a heck of a job. Sam made some amazing field goals for us this year in crunch times. For those of you that were at the Marymount game, that was an absolute clutch field goal. And another thing you may not know is he wasn't our full-time punter, but our full-time punter got knocked around a little bit and had to sit out a play. And Sam had to go in and punt. And we were backed up inside of our own 10. Okay, and no problem. He caught the ball, punted it out. He hadn't taken any reps at punter all week, and that's the type of ice in his veins that Sam has. You know, he's also a very generous and giving person through the charity Kicking for Cancer. You know, that's something I know this year he kind of spearheaded, and we were able to raise quite a bit of money on. Sam, how much?
This year, program raised $10,000.
The program as a whole raised $10,000. And that goes to Feed Cincinnati's homeless. So he's definitely a young man that thinks about others before he thinks about himself. Sam Sophia. Next guy I want to talk about appeared in 2 games for us, and you know, it was because of decisions he made last 9 weeks, and you know, I can tell you that his impact on this team goes far beyond these 2 games. There were times where we played some unbelievable receivers. Xavier Johnson, one that comes to my mind, and he simulated in practice Xavier Johnson and what he did. And I'm going to be honest with you, he's better than Xavier Johnson. He's absolutely better than Xavier Johnson. And I know that he's going to have a great year in basketball. Good luck to the rest of the CHL teams trying to stop him. And I also look forward to coaching him in track. Bryce Hunt. Next guy, one of the smartest football players I've ever coached. And his football IQ is extremely high. He watches a ton of film. He's a team guy. He got our defense lined up every play. You know, and the thing that really stood out to me on the type of toughness that Aiden has is, in the second round of the playoff games, he broke his hand. So he broke his right hand. And he missed maybe 4 or 5 plays and got it padded and taped up. And then he went back in. And, you know, he was equally as productive. There's a specific play that stands out to me when the ball was run outside to his right side, to his broken hand side, and he didn't flinch, and he made the tackle, and it was caused a 4th down, and they punted. And you know, and that's the type of player Aiden is. Offensively, he allowed us to be multiple and change formation without having to change personnel again, because he's such a smart football player. I'm not sure what his plans are in the future, but if you were to become a football coach, I think that would be a phenomenal thing. And I know that whatever you end up doing, you're going to be a success because of how hard you work and how smart you are. Aiden Asbrook. Next guy I want to talk about on the offensive line. And again, our offensive line was very senior heavy this year, and I think that was one of the main reasons why we had so much success running the football, was because of these guys up front. And I would say, in terms of out of all of our offensive linemen, probably one of the nastiest. And you might be saying, "Oh my God, nasty." For an offensive lineman, that's a compliment. In case anyone's wondering, like, you want to play the game nasty as an offensive lineman. You want to be physical, all right? And I'm pretty sure this year he led our team with the most pancake blocks. Has taken his man and put him on the ground. And he did a great job for us in guard, and that's Nate Burkhardt. Next guy I want to talk about, Riley. He was a guy who was able to play any position on the offensive line, knew what every person had to do on any given play, and he was able to, if someone went down, immediately insert in, and then we could find someone else. And he did it willingly, almost to the point where we wouldn't even have to tell him. He would be able to make the change and know that that's what needed to be done. And he played center, played guard, played tackle, played every position on the offensive line. Another guy with an extremely high football IQ. And I know in college he's going to be a major success, whether it's building bridges or saving lives or anything else. I know that Riley Phelps is a guy that I would definitely want to hire. Give him a round of applause. Next guy I want to talk about here is Kyle Gerard. He's in terms of a selfless guy, that's one of the first things that stands out to me is Kyle. He's a great friend. He's a great teammate. He was another one of those guys that was a chauffeur all season for our young guys that didn't have rides. Maybe because he had the largest vehicle and he could take the most, but he was definitely also one of the most willing. Also, another guy on the offensive line that was extremely dependable and we were able to run behind and have a lot of success with. And I know that he'll be missed because he's been a multi-year starter. Other years he's battled injuries. This year he was able to stay injury-free, and I think that that's that was a sign of him staying injury-free allowed him to be a great player, and really that's all it took to stay injury-free. Kyle Gerard. Our last senior here that I would like to talk about and recognize is Caleb Cox. Played defensive end for us the past 2 seasons as a starter. Also was a key backup on the offensive line. At defensive line, he was a guy who did his job. And anybody who coaches football knows how important that is to have a guy in a position where he's supposed to be to make the plays he's supposed to make. And that was Caleb. And he did a great job for us at that position, spilling kick-out blocks and those type of things. I know you may not know what that is, but it's very important because it gets the ball to the guys who can make tackles who are unblocked. And he did that. And he did it willingly, knowing that he wouldn't necessarily make the tackle, but it was what was best for the team. And that's the type of player that Caleb was. Another thing about Caleb is I know he wants to go into the armed forces, which I think is an extremely selfless thing. And I know he'll be great there. And whether it's the Army or the Marines or any of the other armed service, I don't recommend Navy because you're pretty tall. That may not work. But wherever he ends up, I know that America's getting a good Caleb Cox. Let's give our 2017 seniors a round. All right, we have a few team awards. I imagine our assistant coaches will be less long-winded than myself. The first award we have up is Lineman of the Year. We don't differentiate between offense and defensive line because our linemen have to play. They have to play both sides of the ball typically. So I'm going to turn it over to Coach Faust.
Pretty easy. And deciding this award, we talked about it. We used a pretty simple measuring stick, really. And the way it worked is that, okay, if I were an offensive lineman, who would I least like to block? Who would I least like to block? Half the block. On the other way, if I were a defensive lineman, who would I least like to have to block me? Well, it turns out it was the same guy. And that guy's Andy Cohen.
I'm going to be presenting the Offensive Skill Player of the Year award. And the Offensive Skill Player went to the guy that if we took him out of the equation, that would be the biggest loss for our team on offense. And I don't think this is any secret, but he played some quarterback for us. In the last game of the year, played receiver, had some amazing catches. I think the best catch I've seen all year, over the top of a kid on his back, lifting it up, and then looking down at it like he's a peon. It was awesome. I absolutely love that play. I'll remember it forever. But our Offensive Skill Player of the Year is Mancini Jackson.
All right, I got the Defensive Skill Player of the Year. This guy was our weak safety in our coverage scheme. We had to put a lot on him. He was, Coach Page said before, he was, 2 picks short, was it, of the record? And here's why: people quit throwing at you. It's that simple. I mean, you throw it at a guy, you're going to pick it off. Why keep throwing it to him? I would say, great job, Justin Drown.
been here before. I'll tell you what, this was such an enjoyable year for me. It really is. And I know a lot of times my former players, which I see a lot of them here tonight, that they try to pin me down and say, who was the best, who was the fastest, who was the strongest, what's your most enjoyable, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm always guarded not to do that because I don't want to make the other people mad, because I've never had a bad year of coaching. Every year of coaching is like the greatest ever. But there are some years that are more enjoyable than others. It isn't just because of the win-loss record in the regular season or winning games in the playoffs. It's about the camaraderie I have with the staff and with the kids on the team. And this year, both has been excellent. It has been one of my very favorite years. So I just want to thank all you guys for that, and I just want to thank all the people that made me feel welcome coming back. My award here is one that's always been a special one over the years, and it's called the Blue Devil Award. I remember when this first got started, and this was not always the best player on the team, although it was at times, sometimes it is. And it's not always the fastest and whatever, you know, the longest playing. I started the most games. But this is about the person that gives most of himself, game in and game out, not only in the games, but in practice, and unselfishness onto the players on the team and the coaches. And I just know that this guy, from all the years I've given this award when I used to be head coach, is most deserving. And this year is good old Gabe Van Syke.
Remember the Blue Devil Award? I was lucky enough to get to coach this guy at linebacker. People talk about, you know, people ask me, we had a lot of success this year. People were saying, you know, what was it? So I was like, well, you have guys who play football, you have football players. This guy is a football player. The game that comes to my mind, similar to what Coach Page was talking about. He rolled his ankle. It was the week before, Indian Hill. He rolled his ankle. I'm watching him warm-ups. He's limping through everything. First thought of mine is, whatever cuss we're going to throw out there. And I'm like, you're going to make it through this. And he probably played one of the best games of his time here. And I also want to say Mancini did that night too, at linebacker. I mean, I put the film over somebody, and you watch Aiden just limping and getting to the ball on one good leg. I mean, you talk about guts and courage, that was it. I mean, people talk about heart and soul, that was it, Aiden. He never.
The next award we have to present is a special one. One thing that I started since I arrived here at Reading, we have the outgoing captains elect a 2018 season captain. So there's always going to be a link from one team to the next. And to talk about our next season's off-season captain here is Mancini Jackson.
First of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming out and thank the coaching staff and Coach Page for everything they've done for us. Next, I'd like to thank the senior class. It's been an unbelievable bond. We played so long together, and I'll remember these for the rest of my life. But for next season captain, this is a guy that brings a lot of energy to the team. He always knows what he's doing. He's always at practice. He's a guy that will help the team out. I'd give it to a life ball.
Thank you. I wasn't really prepared to give a speech. I would just like to say thanks to the senior class most of all. You know, it's been a great season, teammates and everything. But just being a captain next year, I would just like to say I'm going to give you guys everything I got, you know, give my best every time that we're together. And just make the season as best as possible next year. I'll give you everything I got. So thank you guys.
All right, in closing, again, I would like to say thank you again for coming out. If anyone is interested, there's an organization that Jake's a part of. It's called nightforthefight.org. And there's a lot of great fundraising opportunities to help that cause in childhood cancer, which is something I found out this year is the most underfunded cancer there is. Pediatric cancer is the least funded form of cancer. So if you have any interest, it's all one word, nightforthefight.org. One last thing, as we are wrapping up this season, we are starting our next season, all right, 365. Before you leave, returning players and parents, coaches will have a calendar of our off-season lifting schedule, our mulch sale, our summer camp days, the week that I'm going to be on vacation, so that means they're all going to be on vacation. Hint, hint. Be a great day, be a great week to take a vacation, July 4th. So that is on there as well. And the reason we had success this year, and I mean this, is because of the weight room. You can't be successful if you don't maximize yourself. You can't be tough if you're not strong. We will start lifting January 2nd, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, after school. If you are in a winter sport, you are not expected to be there. If you are not in a winter sport, you are expected to be there. Okay? You are expected to be there. All right? And if there is some sort of conflict, there's one person that you should have a conversation with, and that's me. Okay? That's me. Upperclassmen, not counting off-season sports this past season. All right, returning players, raise your hand if you didn't miss a day. Raise your hand, guys. All right, look at the guys who raised their hand. All right, there's a clear relationship between the amount of time you spend in the weight room and the success you have in the fall. So that's the expectation. Make sure you grab a calendar, coaches. Make sure you're at the doors so no one can take off. Yes, Jay. Thank you very much. Coach, are we presenting them, or I didn't know, this wasn't on my script. Go ahead. All right. Well, for those of you that plan this, Jake, imagine Mrs. Swanner, probably. Okay, Jake says it was him.
Oh, yeah.
But thank you.
It was all Jake.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you for coming out tonight. For those of you that were able to stay for our extra long whopping 1 hour and 16-minute banquet, I appreciate that. Okay? I appreciate that. Celebrating us. Have a great night. Drive safe. Coaches,